Good morning and welcome to the Sunday celebrations here for the Centers of Spiritual Living Denver. We are a loving and prospering community here in the heart of Capitol Hill and online. We know that with everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. Our names and phone numbers are on the website at www.csldenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, please email it to info@csldenver.org. Reverend Elzia, along with all of our guest speakers, all of our practitioners, our music and service coordinators want you to know how truly grateful we are for your online support. Thank you for watching our Sunday services, attending our online workshops and events, and providing financial support so that we can keep our virtual doors open. We love you all and know we'll be seeing you in person in the right and perfect time. And now, we'll continue to meet online until further notice. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Please go to www.csldenver.org and sign up for our newsletters. We only send out one per week. Or send an email to info@csldenver.org and request to be put on our mailing list. This week we are having our usual Zoom fellowship right after service. If you haven't already received an email this morning, please send an email to info@csldenver.org to request a Zoom invitation. Please join us. We would love to say hi and catch up with you. That's it for the announcements this Sunday. Again, thank you for tuning in, and now back to our service.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, however it works out for you. My name's Tim Hancock, and I'm a practitioner here at Center for Spiritual Living Denver. I invite you to close your eyes for the end and just know that surely the presence of God is in this place. As the presence of God is in all places throughout its creation. And especially the presence of God is in our heart. And as we move into today's service, we know that we are blessed, just as the message of Reverend Jacqueline and the music and the message and the reading and the technology all is blessed. And we relax into a glorious morning, a glorious Mother's Day, where the beginning of life is now. The first day of the rest of our lives is now. And I am absolutely grateful for being a part of Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for being a part of all of those who I've met throughout this particular congregation. I just know that as we go on into today, the celebrations that we have with her are also blessed. And so it is. And today's reading is about happiness. Happiness is driven by a state of mind, consciousness, and awareness. If we live life from a place of enthusiasm, joyous expectancy, and positivity, then it lifts our spirits and creates an aura about us. Life then feels less like a drudgery, regardless of how bad things may be in our circumstances or in the world. Learn to flip the story by shifting our perspective to see more of an opportunity for learning and growth rather than focusing on the negative side of the picture. The more practiced we become at viewing life from this perspective, the more quickly we can learn to expect the unexpected, look for miracles at every turn, and have a brighter outlook on life. As we look less to others to bring us fulfillment and happiness, and more to ourselves and the treasures within, we are more apt to realize that happiness does begin within me as the individual, and we seize more control over our own destiny. Because we have more pep and more excitement about living and being alive, we can then catch ourselves feeling happy, humming, singing, and whistling while we work, play, and pray. And from Ernest Holmes' quotes, have the will to be well, to be happy, and to live in joy. And let us waste no further time looking for the secret of success or the key to happiness. Always the door is open to whosoever will may enter. And an affirmation today for happiness: the power which creates and sustains is now creating everything and necessary to my happiness. And now we do our musical selection with Ray Davis.
Well, hello, CSL Denver. This is Ray Davis coming to you from Los Angeles, California, and I'm delighted and grateful to be with you today as your May artist. I have a special song for you today, a song that asks the question, what would life be like? Just everyday, ordinary life be like if everything was, everything was cool. And by that I mean everybody living in peace and harmony, joy, peace, loving kindness prevailing. What would it be like? This song is called Wide World. La. I'm sitting outside with a cup of hot tea, checking out panorama of the world for me. I'm saying, how do you do? I got the sun in the sky and the earth under my feet, the wind blowing kisses and caresses all over me, saying, we love you. hated a wide world, hated a wide world. Well, the sweet Mr. Smitty, on his nieces in town, he walks her uncle named Kitty, all bouncy black and brown. I'm singing, how do you do? And Miss Doris and Morris, they got married last June. She does yoga in the morning, he Thursday afternoon. I hear them saying, I love you, baby. Hated a wide world. All of us are one underneath the sweet sun. It's a wide world. Yeah. Hated a wide world. So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide world. Yes, yes. When I close my eyes, all I see is light, 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 love, all that's good and right. So with eyes wide open, I see the goodness and mercy just follow me all my days, all my days, all my days. I see the farmers market's got a lot of people today. They're living local and organic, and that's my way of saying, hey, how y'all do? Well, there's a lady having trouble with her bags of the day, and right away another lady says, sister, have no care. I'll help you, I love you, yeah. Ain't it a wide world? All of us one underneath the sweet sun. It's a wide world. Yes, yes. Ain't it a wide world? So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide world. Yes, 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 yes. Well, ain't it a wide world? If a difference is to be, let it begin with me. It's a wide, wide world. Ain't it a wide world? So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide, wide world. I got the moon in the sky and the earth under my feet, the saints and ancestors blowing blessings all over me. And hear them say, we love you. We love you. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. It is a wide world. Hello, Denver CSL. I am absolutely delighted to be in your house today. I am Reverend D. Jacquelyn Edwards, and I'm coming to you from Oakland, California. So we've got a national experience going on today on this beautiful Mother's Day. So first and foremost, happy Mother's Day. Happy day of celebration of the feminine face of God. This is working today. Happy celebration of the feminine face of God. I'd like to start with praying myself in, and so I invite you, wherever you may be in this wide world, to join me as I take a deep breath. And in this moment, in this time, know that this wide world is absolutely impregnated with the divinity of the divine in, through, and as each one of us. What I know, what I declare, what I accept, what I give high praise for is that this morning we are communing with the divine as we commune with each other. And so I give praise and thanks and praise for this conversation, for this place that is Center for Spiritual Living, Denver, Colorado. I give praise and thanks for Reverend Elzia. I give praise and thanks for every practitioner, every board member, everyone that touches this community in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I release this prayer and I open this service knowing that it proceeds as a conversation, as a touching of the hearts. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, Ashe, Amen, Amen, Aho, and so it is. Hi, how are you? So we have this wonderful topic today of happiness is a state of mind. So first and foremost, I'm going to invite you to consider that is not just a state of mind, but happiness is also an action. And happiness is also a reflection of both our courage and our conviction. That is, how brave and bold are we in both being willing to stand in and come from what we say we believe. My dad likes to say, the proof is in the pudding, meaning there is what we say we believe, and then there's what we do in the world, the way that we walk in the world. So in walking in the world, do we do that in a way that reflects a state of happiness, a state of joy, a state of elevated being that is an outpicturing of an elevated state of consciousness? Question mark. That's a question. Question mark. One for you and me and all of us to consider. Today is Mother's Day. Today is the day that we celebrate the feminine face of God. Today is the day that we celebrate the way we got here, the path, if you will, the channel. Somebody said yes. Somebody said, I am willing to be both a vessel for this God being, as well as a guide, as well as a way shower, and oftentimes a way maker. I want us to remember that when we celebrate Mother's Day and we celebrate this feminine face of God, that we are celebrating more than just those who may be what we call birth parents, more than those who literally gave birth to a person. And we're celebrating more than those who are in the feminine expression, in the female body, where our celebration goes broader than that. Because what we know is that in addition to the mothers and the grandmothers and the aunties and the neighbor that lived next door that kept an eye on while the parents were at work, that there are also, there's those people that we put all these other hyphenated names in front of. We have the stepmothers. We have the adopted mothers. We have the dad moms. I want to talk about that for a little bit, because on Father's Day, it's not unusual, at least in the places that I've been and visited and seen, it's not unusual to also celebrate the women who have been single parents, who have theoretically served as both the mom and the dad. What I want us to acknowledge today, what I'm inviting us to acknowledge today, is that there's a whole bunch of dads out there who have also served as the mom. So we want to give them some props today too. We want to give props to everyone who walks in that parenting role, and we want to give props to everyone who is willing to allow that nurturing feminine face of God to be one of the ways that they show up in the world. Mother's Day is celebrated in at least 60 countries around the globe. Now, it's not celebrated on today. It's not the same day every place, but in at least 60 places all over the wide world, there is an understanding and a recognition of the power and the presence of the mother. In fact, when we look at this idea of happiness and happiness as a state of mind, we can reflect back to our growing up. We can reflect back to the, I'm going to say, many places in our lives where it has been the representation of the feminine face of God that has sheltered us, that has nurtured us in a way that led to our even being able to think about the idea of being happy. It has been that feminine face of God in our individual and collective experience that has very often been responsible for creating the experiences that have led to our happiness, if you will. Amen? Can we collectively recognize that that, for many of us, is the truth? Now, some of you know that I consider myself to be a born-again religious scientist. Now, what that means is that I am committed to the principles of religious science. I am committed to, and I absolutely do my best every day to live by the principles that are taught in this thing called science of mind. And so when we talk about this idea of happiness, and when we say happiness is a state of mind, I get to say amen. I get to say amen. And what I also get to say in this time and space, this time in all of the interesting things that are going on in the world, I get to acknowledge that happiness is an inside job, and happiness is something that I am wanting everyone to experience. I'm inviting us to consider that at this juncture, at this crossroad in our collective evolution at a planetary level, as well as in our evolution as a spiritual entity, as a spiritual practice, as centers for spiritual living, as well as in our personal and individualized evolutionary process, that part of that evolving, part of that being in the now, and I'm going to suggest being in the real, is acknowledging that yes, happiness is absolutely an inside job. That first of all, I have to claim it for myself. And I want to invite us to consider that before we can even claim it, we have to know that there is such a thing, that we have to know that there is such a thing as happiness, that there's such a thing as joy. And then once we get there, we can go to this joy that I have, this happiness that I have. The world did not give it to me, and the world cannot take it from me. Now I'm in the me of it. I'm going to now get us to the we of it, because there is a we. And in the we, there is another question. That's my little question mark there. Let me do it with my other hand. Is that better? Okay. In the we, there's another question. How can I be happy when I know that there are people and individuals in the world who are experiencing things that happiness would not describe? Can we say Ukraine? Can we say Eritrea? Can we say all parts of the globe, really all over, in every continent? There are people who are having the experience of much disruption, people who are having the experience of living in fear, people who are having experiences that we could almost say are on the opposite end of that spectrum, from happiness to terrified. And yes, I'm juxtaposing those, because I'm also inviting us to remember that in some respects, happiness is another word for love. And what we know is that the juxtaposition to love is fear. So anything that's not showing up like love, like joy, like happiness, like peace, like power, like prosperity, is showing up as fear. So we have these conditions going on that we get to see and that we get to impact. And in our impacting those conditions, what we are doing individually, because it is absolutely true that as I find my joy, as I find my higher ground, my sweet spot in the universe, that I am creating an energy in the universe that brings more of that. It is also true that when I see my sisters and my brothers having another kind of experience, that then I get to ponder. I get to say, how do I share this joy that I have, this joy that I feel, this happiness that I am experiencing? How do I help them also have that experience? What I'm talking about right now is avoiding the condition that we call a spiritual bypass. A spiritual bypass is when I'm looking at the thing, or better example, when there is a brick or a heavy object on my foot, right? And because I know that I am claiming happiness and joy, there's this heavy thing on my foot, and I'm going to pretend that not only is it not there, but my foot is not hurting. I heard somebody out there say, good luck with that. And I agree with you. Good luck with that. Because what I've got to do is take this thing off of my foot. And we get into just a little bit of what might be considered circular reasoning there. But what I invite us to consider is that's not circular, but that what we're creating is an ever widening, ever expanding circle that is continuously rising. And what is that? And how is that? And what are we doing? What we're doing is we're acknowledging that there's some crazy going on in the world right now. And we're looking at, so what is my part in it? What is it that is uniquely and divinely and perfectly mine to do? So at the individual level, I get to hunker down. I get to hunker down in my spiritual practices, as well as I get to hunker down in claiming my joy and claiming my happiness and disconnecting from the news, disconnecting from the media. I like to say, you know, I live in earthquake country, that if the earth moves, I'm going to know. I don't need ABC News to tell me about it. I am definitely going to know that. And I will take the necessary action that I need to take. I'm being a little silly now, but what I'm saying is it's a both and, that we have to both work on our own joy. We have to create happiness within our own lives, within our own life experiences, and we have to create that, co-create that with other people. On this day, when we're celebrating the feminine face of God, we are reminded that the feminine, the universal soul, is called, or has been called, the womb of nature, because it is receptive to the spirit and is impregnated with divine ideas. Impregnated with divine ideas. Now, we're not talking gender here. We're talking about that feminine aspect of each one of us that is receptive to spirit and receptive to divine ideas. But first, you got to say yes. You got to say, I'm available. I am available to knowing what it is that is uniquely, divinely, perfectly, and impeccably mine to do. Now, what we teach is that once we know what that thing is that is mine to do, is that what we're doing now is we're planting a seed in the soil, or we're planting an idea in the soul. And once that idea is planted, then the law takes over. And when the law takes over, it's a done deal. So, why don't we have peace on earth? Any ideas? Any thoughts about that? If in fact our thoughts are things, if in fact happiness, joy, peace is within our ability to create, if we have the ability to do this, then what's going on? Because certainly everything unlike that is showing up in many, many places. So what's going on? We don't really know that we have this power. How do I know we don't know it? Because I see what's going on in the world. I see what's going on in my own life. And I want to invite you to join me in every time something unlike peace, something unlike joy, something unlike happiness. And now I'm not talking about just the times when we have to put our shoulder to the thing, when we have to work hard to get to the place that we're going, because there's some joy and some happiness in that too, because we can see ourselves progressing and moving forward and moving into our absolute greater yet to be. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the times when we find ourselves wrapped up in bad, wrong, and awful. Those are the times we get to pause. We get to take a time out. We get to say, hold up, wait a minute. This is not what I'm here to be about. This is not what I am here to model. This is not who I am. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. Happiness, of course, feels good. We know that. We've experienced happy, we've experienced joy. When we see that the conditions are not what we would have them be, then we are drawn. We are, if you will, we talk about our making demandments on the universe. When we see that the thing is not going in the order or the way that it's supposed to be going, i.e., peace, i.e., love, i.e., joy, then what we know is that we've got work to do. It's really, in many senses, it's not, what is that phrase we like to use? It's not rocket science. It's not difficult to figure out, but it's an opportunity to reach into our courage, and to, first of all, call a thing a thing. Secondly, and very critically, very importantly, it's an opportunity to reach in and pull out our tools. I want us to consider two, I'm going to call them critical tools today. One is gratitude, and the other is generosity. I'm inviting us to taste and see gratitude and generosity. Gratitude, that practice of being thankful, that practice of finding the good and praising it, lifting it up. What we praise, we raise. So when I'm being in a state of gratitude, I'm raising it. And again, now we're on Mother's Day, right? So if you look at a mom, when the mom is talking about the wonderliciousness of her babies, you're witnessing both some happiness and some gratitude. And you're witnessing some, indirectly, some generosity, because in no small measure, the way that these fabulous children got to be fabulous is through the generosity of their parents. Did she say yes, generosity. That means that the time that was invested, that means the money that was invested. If you've taken in a person, a human person, from birth through college, then you know there have been some substantial investments there. But we do it willingly, we do it lovingly, and it makes us happy. It brings us happiness. So now what our opportunity is to take what we call these transferable skills. That means that I have perfected this way of creating happiness with and for other people, with and for another human being, and transfer that to a broader, wider audience. Transfer that to community. Show up in community in a way that I ask, what is my part? What is it that is mine to do that's up close and personal? I'm saying we got to touch it, y'all. I'm saying that we have to have a personal sense of our connection with God in, through, and as each other. A lot of us, yours truly included, a lot of us like to write a check. Of course, we don't actually write checks. We go online, we do it that way because we can. You know, inside of 15 minutes, you can contribute to probably 5, 6, 7, depending on how fast your fingers are and whether or not you've got them on speed dial, you know, automatic computer where you can just go to it because it's saved up there someplace, right? And we can give some money and be done with the thing. That's not enough. Clearly, again, how do I know that's not enough? Because I see what's going on in the world. Yes, it makes a difference. I love it when I get the little bulletins from the people, be it Doctors Without Borders, or be it Habitat for Humanity. I'm telling you who my people are that I like to give to. I love it when I get the little notices that tell me all the wonderful things that they're doing in the world. And And I go, I look, I see, but some of these conditions are still prevalent in the world. And that's when I have to say, I got to do more. I've got to do more. And the more that I do, and this is our baseline in our teaching, the more that I've got to do is do more work on myself. I've got to expand my prayer time, expand my meditation time. I've got to do some visioning and allow spirit to download to, for, and with me what it is that is specifically, uniquely, divinely, and perfectly mine to do. And then I've got to get out there. I've got to get out there and have conversations with people. You know, this COVID experience gave us some time away from people. So now we've got to recultivate how we be in the world with each other. We've got to re-examine how we experience and express ourselves, how we create compassionate containers with and for each other. We've got to look at some of our basic principles that say everybody is entitled to be loved. That means that we don't cast little darts at people because they're on the other side. And I'm clear in 2022, it's not about the right side or the wrong side, it's just the other side. Because they're on the other side, actually, when they're on the other side, that's when it calls for us to go deep and pull out that love and pull out that care and pull out that concern. Now, does any of this mean that we ignore bad behavior? Not at all. Not at all. But it means that we stand on God's promises. And central to all of God's promises is this idea that if you take the first step, Spirit's got you. Spirit's got you. As you do your spiritual practices, as we're guided and led into our co-creating the greater yet to be for each one and for all of us, then we witness, we see the shifts first in our families, then in our communities, then in our nation, and then on the planet. This is our work. Again, how do we know that this is our work? Because we're here, because we are present. Some people say because we elected to be present in the universe, on the earth at this time. Gratitude and generosity. I invite each and every one of us to list every day, and you can list them in your mind and count them on your fingers, however it is that works for you, to daily list 10 things that you are grateful for. 10 things, because gratitude turns us around and lifts us up. I invite us to be generous with our love, to be generous with each other, to consistently create vessels in our hearts that reflect in our everyday being in the world, that are run through with compassion, that are run through with joy, that are run through with love, that get to be the fertile ground that we use to grow and to expand peace, power, prosperity, love, joy, and somebody said happiness. My final charge for you today is that you find a tool that you can use every day. I want to suggest one in particular we just completed on April 4th, the Season for Peace and Nonviolence. that you look at those 64 days of peace and nonviolent principles, and that you tweak them to suit your own understanding and then apply them in the world. Ernest Holmes says in seminar lectures, the ability to control your experiences and have them result in happiness, prosperity, and success. And I am adding, for you and for us, lies in your own mind and the way you use it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Jacqueline.
Thank you, Tim.
Beautiful, beautiful message.
Thank you.
And would you like to pray us out?
Would, and do we do the offering at this point? Do we bless our offering?
You can go ahead and do a closing prayer for your message, and then I will do the offering. All right.
I invite you again to join me in taking a deep breath. Inhale and release. And so what I know, I declare and I accept with every cell and fiber of my body that God, the good to which there is no opposite, is absolutely resonating in, as through, and as through, and as the manifestation of each one of us, of each of our experiences as we walk through this and our successive days. I declare, I know, and I accept that using our tools of gratitude and generosity, that we absolutely are creating and co-creating a world of happiness, a world of fulfillment, a world that is safe, a world that is peaceful. It is with a humble and deep sense of gratitude for the impeccable manifestation of each syllable of this and all of our prayers of this day that I release this word to the immutable and perfect law that always and in always simply says yes. And so it is. Thank you.
And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we here at Center Richarding Denver are grateful and blessed for everyone's support, whether it be in time, treasure, and especially during this time of change. Whether this is your first time joining, your returning community participant, we want to thank you for your continued financial support of the important work we're striving to provide. Right now, there's several ways you can make your contribution to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver, and the information is running across the bottom of the screen. You can to give, and that phone number is 844-454-0918, and a check to our post office box 300416, Denver 80220. Simply go on to csldenver.org and you can contribute that way. And we do want to hear from everybody, whether it is with your time, treasure, and know that we are all members of the CSL community. And now join me in repeating our affirmation for our offering. This perfect gift is spirit in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive, and so it is. And now our usual fellowship will be the virtual fellowship this morning. Will be right after service. We love for you to come and join us. If you didn't receive a Zoom invitation this morning, please send an email to info@sldenver.org, mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. Happy Mother's Day to all, and enjoy the day. It's going to be a beautiful day here in Colorado, and I hope it is wherever you're watching from. Meanwhile, we hope you have a wonderful week, and we affirm right here and right now that 2022 is blessed and perfect in all it is. We love you and we miss you. Please take care of yourselves. And now we'll close out with I release and I.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You gotta let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let go. Let the Spirit run my life and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. My faith I see the light. I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.